Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Sunday the 16th of March, and the storms have continued off and on during the week in various parts of Spain. Spain continues to be quite cool for the time of year. It was forecast this year that most of Europe will be getting a cooler year in general. That means winter, spring, summer and maybe autumn, because of a climate event in the I think it's the Pacific or the Atlantic, or maybe both. Normally the sea currents are called an El Nino, the boy, and once in every 10 to 12 years the currents change and switch round and go the other way, and they're called a La Nina, which means the girl, like the opposite to the boy obviously. So it was forecast early on in this year that we were having this La Nina event this year throughout Europe, and America's going to cop it, Canada, and it's going to change the temperatures. It remains to be seen whether we'll have a stonking hot summer. It's very rare that we don't get a hot summer. I remember in the past we have had cooler summers whereby, I mean, it's got to 30, 31, which is not cool for Northern Europe, but it's certainly cool for here where we're normally seeing temperatures of 42, 43. So yesterday we went out for a ride on the 900 DSX and had lunch with friends, and strange series of events happened with the DSX, and they've happened before. I've been very few times over the last 11 months I've owned the bike, but I've got a few false neutrals on the dash where you're actually changing it into neutral. It's showing the green illuminated neutral signal on the dash, and you assume it's in neutral, but it's still in gear. Now what that does, it negates the side stand down. It thinks the side stand down in neutral, it is in neutral, but obviously it's still in gear, so if you hit the starter button the bike will move forward. And a stupid mistake that I made again, many years of riding, 47 years of riding, but with a group of friends, and I wanted to start the bike up and warm it up a little bit. So while I was getting my gear on, it was on the side stand. I turned the key on. I'd parked it previously in first gear because it was on a slight upward slope. So I turned the ignition on, it was showing first gear, side stand down. So straight away I changed it into neutral, side stand down, neutral showing on the dash, and instead of doing the usual thing where you reach over and you pull the clutch in, I just hit the starter button, and it immediately rolled the bike off the side stand. I caught the bike. Obviously you guys are aware of the weight of the 900 DSX, it's a heavy bike. Rolled it off the side stand, I caught it, went down sort of halfway, and my mate who was standing next to his bike opposite me, he then came over to help me, so I got a bit of a pull in my side. Had it gone on the floor, I could have, you know, turned round and put it in first gear and walked it back up, as opposed to trying to hold the weight on my side, which was a hell of a weight to hold, to be honest. So yeah, very strange. It's one thing to remember, and certainly won't get caught out again. I rarely ever start the bike on the button without engaging the clutch. This particular time I did, and nearly paid the price. Anyway, no damage on the bike, just a bit of a pull on my side. So yeah, strange events in a week. Last Sunday I was on this voge and it's a patch of mud, like black ice, and came off. Today is the following Sunday, and although we've had rain all week, I'm coming up a gravel track up into the mountains. No real need to drop the tyre pressure on this at the moment. It's not too muddy, too boggy, so it's more shale, so we're going to be okay. I was going to drop it down to 17 psi front and back, but I've decided not to at the moment. So yeah guys, join me on this ride up through this stunning Sierra de Ricote up to the top, and don't know what I'm going to find, don't know what's going to be washed out with the severe rains, and we'll just take it steady and just play it by ear, especially after the spill last week. On this type of trail, the Timsum tyres are okay, they'll do shale and gravel no problem. It's not, they are grippy enough to do this, not so good in mud. I may swap them out. I've been looking at options for tyres to swap it out, bearing in mind that I do some asphalt riding on this on tarmac, so I was looking for something that's not going to be too severe on tarmac, and I've looked at the Meter CO7s, the Anarchy Wilds, and I've been put off the Anarchy Wild because people are saying in the wet they're awful, and the twitchy on certain terrain, it's more so on tarmac obviously than this type of terrain, so they've been ruled out. And the other one was a Dunlop tyre, 60/40 tyre, I forget the name of it now, but I'll look it up after, and they've got some amazing reviews. A lot of people are using that particular tyre, so I'll put the name in the video when I edit it after as an annotation so you can see. So at the moment it's looking like that's going to be the tyre. People are saying riding on wet asphalt tarmac, they're really grippy, they're almost like a wet road tyre. They've got plenty of knobble for going off track and in mud, so enough side pegs, but they've got intermediate middle knobbles that are straight and every other one's cross-cut, so you don't get that lateral slide like you do on the Timsons on mud like I get on this one. So yeah, interesting guys. So I'm thinking of putting the same tyre on the DSX 900. The Pirellis are great for road work, but I do come off trail with it now and again, and the last time I was up this way was probably about 7-8 months ago on the 900 DSX, and the standard Pirelli tyres did cope with this trail. You can see it's just compacted dust, clay and gravel. Luckily this week, a week later, I'm not seeing any fine dust mud, but that tends to be down on the farm tracks, on the fields where they've been ploughed, and the winds blow the dust across onto the roads, forming a fine film. So this at the moment is very, very dry, very nice. So yeah, a few corners like this are a bit wet, but not muddy, slippy muddy. Certainly grippy enough with these Timson tyres to take it. Some of the views up here, guys, I'll try and stop on the brew of this hill and we'll have a look over the top here. And you can see for miles and miles and miles. Absolutely stunning view, stunning day. I got up this morning and I thought another really hot, horrible, wet, horrible day. It was totally thick cloud, and I thought, no, I'm not going to ride today, it's too cloudy. And came out the house, looked at the north facing side, which was thick grey cloud, went into the back garden, looked south, and I could see blue coming over, and it quickly cleared up. So it's looking like a clear sky day, so I'm going to have a ride on this Voge 900 rally up these trails today and enjoy them. And if it warms up a bit later, I'm going to go back and take my wife out on the Super Meteor, which we really enjoy riding. So yeah, onward and upward. And if you keep following this trail up and up and up, it gets to the television and radio masts on the top of the mountain at an altitude of, I believe, 1,200 metres. Not overly high, but certainly higher than Snowdon. And you can see now we're actually going up and up and up. I'll keep my eyes on the road, not look too far that way on these bad bends. But you can see there's some height up here. There are a few obstacles on the roads, a few trees have been blown down. Strange weather this year, guys. Looking at Torremolinos, which is a little bit further south than us. We're quite far south in Murcia, but you have to go down and round to get to Malaga and down that end of the coast. But they've had tornadoes, they've had flash floods. My wife was showing me some video footage on Facebook this morning of Alicante, and flash floods there, cars going down the street, and what looked like icebergs in front of them. And I said, that's got to be foam, it can't be ice. Anyway, looking at the annotations that someone had put on the video below, it was actually sheet. It was ice, but not in the ice form. It was in sheet hailstone that fallen in sheets on the road, built up about 4 inches thick, and then the floods had come behind it and washed these sheets across, and cars were driving through them as if they were going through icebergs. Quite surreal for Spain to be having this sort of weather. Not unknown, but certainly not normal. I looked at the 10-day weather forecast this morning for the 10 days ahead, which brings us up towards, well, more than 10 days, it takes us up towards the 29th of, 14-day I think it was, 29th of March, and up until the 29th of March is showing highs of about 15, 16, and lows of about 8 or 9, which is unheard of for this time of year. We're normally in the mid to high 20s. Certainly many years that I can remember in the past, it's normally around 27, 28 at this time of year, and it's superb weather for biking, really, really warm and mild. You can ride in a mesh jacket with protection. So again guys, looking on this corner, I'll just show you here, we won't go over the edge, won't be doing any silly things like that, but I'll show you some of the views. Okay, another gearbox playing up, and it's as smooth as silk, this gearbox, but the illumination wasn't showing the gears, so you can see we're quite high up. We're looking at the Sierras. I don't know what view I've got on this particular camera at the moment, so what I'll do, I'll start the 360 up, and we'll see what sort of view we can get off that as well. We'll put all the view into the video after. But yeah, last week I rode over in the distance that way across the flat plains. You can see the plains at the bottom, and obviously the plains at the bottom are where all the mud and crud comes off the fields, and with it being very fine dust, I mean we do get a lot of dust here in the houses. You get dust and all sorts, so this fine dust accumulates throughout the year, especially with dust storms, and it blows across to the edge of the road, and then when we get a severe downpour, it sort of washes all this dust into the middle of the road, hence the clay dust patch here last week. But certainly I think if I'd have had different tyres on and a lower tyre pressure, maybe down to about 17 psi, it would have probably gone through there, not with these Timsums on, but something better. So yeah, it's a stunning day guys, and like with everything, when you have a spill like that, I mean, when you get older and you're getting a few years on you, I mean, a few years time I'll be retiring, but when you're getting older and you come off like that, you don't recover as quick. You have a few aches and pains, and my shoulder's still a little stiff. It's not nothing major, but I can still feel it a little bit a week later, so you do take longer to recover as you get older. But you've got to do these things in life, guys. You've got to have each day as an adventure and make the best of every day that we're blessed with. And for me that means enjoying the countryside, the scenery, and getting out and about on one of my bikes, and quite fortunate my wife enjoys it as well. So yesterday was freezing cold. We left the house, well, freezing cold by our standards. We left the house at I think about 10 o'clock, and it was showing about 11 degrees. So we had all the gear on and the neck scarves and all the rest of it, but my wife wasn't too happy. I was sat on the front of the Voge with the heated grips on the heated seat, and it's quite sad that the rear seat on the Voge hasn't got a heating element. I know you can get one put in. There's guys doing these re-seat covers and changing them, and I must get a custom seat at some point made up with a rear heating element for my wife in the back. But yeah, great ride out, apart from the false neutral and the bike nearly going over. So yeah, as we go around this corner now, the landscape opens up again to some stunning landscape into the distance there, and the mountain range over the other side as we go up around this bend is called Sierra Spugna, and it's a national park, and very scenic up there. Some great trails and routes to ride up there. Some visitor centres and wildlife centres. A lot of wild boar that will come down and eat bread out from your hands. Well, not from your hands, you can throw it and they'll eat it. Foxes up there will come over and accept food off you. There's a couple of bars up there with pictures of the local foxes, a different fox to the UK fox. Quite grey here as opposed to being a ruddy colour in the UK. And these trails up here now, they're not overly technical. It's pretty flat, to be honest. It's shaly, so you've got to watch you don't step out on the back end, on, especially on these cheap Timsum tyres. but I'm sat down at the moment. There's no need to stand up, and you can just really, what am I doing, 41 kph, it's not very fast, 28 mile an hour. You can just toodle along, and what's good about toodling along on these tracks like this is that you can pull over like this and you can look and you can take in the scenery, and you can see the landscape now. You won't really know, because I've not been up this way for a while, but looking in the distance, the fields that we can see down the bottom, everywhere with the 2-year drought that we've had previously was grey. I mean, a grey and dusty, barren landscape, sandy grey in places, and cream and sand, and just barren. A lot of the pine trees you can see, I don't know if they're picking up on the video, there's one certainly just down below here. A lot of the pine trees, which is very unusual, have died off with the drought. There's just not been enough groundwater to keep them alive, and this is going to be a major problem for the forestry, because obviously the massive fire problem in the summer. These dry trees that are left around, if anyone stupidly leaves a bottle or anything and they go up, you've seen the wildfires in California, etc. We're the same here in Morthia. We've got thousands of acres of forest land, and if this goes up, it's devastating for the environment and everything. The landscape is barren for years till it vegetates again. But certainly in the distance, looking out now, where it would have appeared very sort of desert-like now, the landscape certainly has changed dramatically, and it's very, very scenic. I should have brought an SLR up with a telephoto and taken some photographs, because it's a stunning day. I think the temperature's probably only about 12 at the moment, 11, 12, but I've got double layers on, I've got all the kit on, my boots on, helmet, so all good. So we'll go on onward and upward, and I'll pick a few more vantage points out and show you some more scenery. Like I said before, when it's dry and it's a bit shaly like this, these Timsum tyres will scoot along at a fair lick across the rough stuff. Some guys working here, or they have been working here. At this point here, there was, I don't know if it's still there now, there was a big pond, and it's still here. We'll have a look at this quickly, and I'll give you an idea of what this is. Now, doesn't look like much, but obviously the wildlife use it a lot, and basically ponds for fire. If there's a fire, how deep it is I don't know, but there's a good few gallon that they could utilise and use if there is a forestry fire. They could refill a bowser and get some water, but there's quite a few of these dotted around. Looks like they're going to be making this bigger. They've got a digger there, and they've marked out a bigger perimeter there to make it bigger. That bit of a hillock in front of me is once you get to the top of that, and I'm not going to do it today, not with pulling my back a little bit yesterday and my shoulder still being a little bit bad, but you get to the top of that and the views are stunning from the other side, and often you see what we thought initially when we used to go up there. We thought there were eagles flying past, but they're actually griffin vultures, and they fly in great big flocks of birds that fly past these griffin vultures, and quite a sight to see. Huge wingspan on them. Well over 8 foot, 2.5 metre wingspan. And we've got golden eagles up here and wild boar. What you don't want to be doing around any of these bends is coming around a bend too fast and seeing a pack of wild boar and obviously ploughing into them, because they're fair size to do some damage. Also, obviously, if you come across a herd of them, you don't want to be messing around too much. The mothers are very protective of the little ones, and they can be quite dangerous to the point where they can kill people, you know. You can still see there's a few puddles still littered around. these Timson tyres have got some good forward and rear grip. If you're braking on them, providing you're not hitting mud, obviously braking on them in gravel, because the way the tread pattern is, it's cut more or less straight across, so there's sideways you get a lot of slippage on mud, but certainly forward and backward there's a lot of traction if you need to brake, or you're braking going downhill. They work quite well that way. But yeah, they'll be coming off at some point as soon as I get a chance to order a pair and get them on and get some decent tyre levers. You can see there's a lot of these dead trees being felled here, and what they tend to do, they cut them along the side of the road like this, and then the locals come up with a trailer, maybe a 4x4, and they're allowed to just cut them and take them away. You can see lots of debris at the side of the road. See again here, there's one or two at the side, and these are just, if you come up with a trailer and you want some firewood, you just load your trailer up and take them away. Bring a chainsaw and cut them down a bit, cut them in half, say. Lots and lots of timber up here. Fair way to come up, but timber now, firewood, probably looking at 120, 130 euros a tonne, something around that mark. Obviously, if you were to take these, you couldn't use them this year. You'd have to stack them with braces between them so they dry out, and you'd use them next year when they're totally cured. A bit too green to use for this year. Like I've said before, this little bike, certainly if you get it kitted out right, get some decent tyres, get away from these Timsons. Very capable bike off-road, especially on dry trails like this. Lots of tractors everywhere, guys. Obviously Sunday today, so no one's working. And coming up to another viewpoint here. Now that is looking over towards Morphia City in the distance, which is our capital city. Another thing you've got to watch on bikes like this, on the DSX, more so on this one, I'm on a camber that's leaning to my left, so my left foot is bent and flat-footed, but if I swing my leg over to the right side, I don't know if you can see the camera down there, got a good 4 inches under my foot there, so you've got to be careful you don't cant the bike over the wrong way when you stop. Yeah, some stunning scenery, guys. It's quite strange. We're with the weather being quite cold and damp how it's been at the moment. We get quite annoyed at a week of rain, and Morphia we have 320 days of sunshine a year, so you can work that we have about 45 days that are cloudy or without sun, and usually out of 45 they're not all raining, so we probably have about 2 or 3 weeks rain a year on average, if we have that. We've been in drought for 2 years, so we haven't had that, but normally we do get that. And we get a week of rain here, and we're moaning and groaning that it's cold, and just generally doing the Brit thing, having a moan in general, but I don't think we should really, because in about 4 or 5 weeks time, maybe a bit longer, it'll start to warm up really quick and we'll be moaning it's too hot then. You get out on the bike and you're in your mesh gear and it's dripping, and get to June or July and you're taking your mesh jacket off and soaking it in water and putting it back on wet. You ride maybe, I don't know, 10-15 minutes and it's bone dry again. So some more stunning views over to that will be north, inland towards Madrid. So again, stunning scenery. And some of you guys, certainly if you're into off-roading and adventure biking, you'll know that the TET Trans-European trails pass all over Spain. You can literally, I've said this in videos before, when I look out on the horizon in the distance there, and because we're quite high up, the horizon's probably, I don't know, 20 mile away, 20-25 miles. Sea level you can see normally about 5 miles, so I would reckon we can see from here now 25 mile. From here, as far as you can see, you don't need to touch tarmac. You can get a TET trail, put it in, and literally go without touching any tarmac right the way across. And you can pretty much do that across all of Spain and all of Portugal. You can do what we call a vuelta, or a trip, a rotation trip. Vuelta means to turn, so a circular trip, without touching any tarmac. And that's the goal of a lot of people when they get this sort of bike. If they've got it kitted up, The only disadvantage when you're doing tech trails or you're doing anything like I'm doing at the moment is if anything goes wrong. Okay, you've got your phone with you, but to get rescued from up in the mountains like this, you can be a good way 20 kilometers away from anywhere, and to get any sort of emergency services out to you, they would come out if it was a severe case and you were injured. Certainly they send an helicopter out, but generally if you have a breakdown and it's not classed as an emergency, your options are, if you've got a phone signal, and I haven't got my Apple phone with me today. Apple phone now uses a satellite signal now. If you've got no phone signal, you can use a satellite call, but my Android phone, which is my work phone, what I've got on the dash, doesn't. So if you haven't got a signal and you can't call someone, I mean, I've ridden now for probably 20-25 minutes, and that's probably a 2-hour, 3-hour walk to get back to where I started, just to a house, I would think. So often better on these trails to go in groups, and at least if anything happens to the bike or something, you can stick your partner or your other guy or whoever's had a problem on the back of a bike and get them down. So you need to be mindful. I've got a pump with me and a repair kit, so punches again, you've got to be mindful. This has obviously got spoked tyres, so it's got tubes, so I haven't got spare tubes. So lots of things to take into consideration and think about when you do these rides, and of course a lot of us don't. We just take off like I've done today, so you know, you just pray that you'll be okay and you can enjoy the ride. And I don't know if you can see on the top of the mountain above, just go through this puddle and get past that. On the mountain above us there's a lookout, and that's a forestry lookout for forest fires, and obviously there'll be someone up there. It's manned all the time till maybe about midnight, and then I often see from our house down in the valley, I can see headlights and I can see the car going down. So we'll get up there and we'll have a look at the views, and then I think we'll turn around and head back down the mountain, and I'll cobble together a bit of a video. Get on the pegs, it's a bit loose and shaly there. One thing I've noticed since joining a few Voge 300 forum groups is surprising how many people have done long distance tours on these. I know Nathan the Postman has, but I've seen a few people come all the way from the UK all the way to Morocco, do a Moroccan tour and then go back. And we know it's capable. We know Nathan the Postman has done plenty of trips on motorways and down through Europe and back again, and raved about the bike. He's not found much that he didn't dislike. But yeah, they're quite a capable little bike, and they're quite capable of carrying quite a heavy load once you load them up with all your rolls and your gear. So interesting how really you don't need a huge big bike, especially if you're going in Morocco and you're going to do some of the mountain trails and sections. I watched a video the other day that I'll try and remember the guy who's making them. It's really, really good. He has come on a tour from the UK with a group of lads, and they're on various bikes. I think he's on a Honda, not a Transalp, Honda Africa Twin, I think. And the other guys are on various bikes, and they've gone all the way down to Morocco, and he's does some amazing cinematography. Went through Ronda down into Morocco, and they're on a fantastic trip. And he went through a place that is only a couple of hours away from where we live. I think it's called the Garoffi Desert, and some of the stunning scenery there was incredible. And it's a trip that I've penned in my diary to take, whether I go down that way on this Voge or we go up on the DSX and do it, I don't know, but it's an amazing area to travel through. It's down in Almeria, which is a couple of hours away, and a place I'm going to have to put on my to-do list and visit right now. So we're going to go up now. If we go down, that'll take us down to Ricote to the right. This is taking us up to the lookout on the top of the mountain. These humps that I'm going over are designed to throw the water off the track and down to the side to save the track eroding in heavy rain. Obviously done their job. Every few metres there's one. Steep sections, when you're going up, you find yourself really far forward on the bike, and you're obviously taking some of the weight on your arms, so it can be quite a workout. Very pliable, this bike. I mean, I'm in third gear and I was almost at standstill then. There's plenty of torque in it to pull you along. And this thing on the left now, I'll try and pull up it so you can see. Again, fantastic views down there. Wow. Now we are some height now, we're probably over 1,000 metres, and you can see the sunny views all around us. And this is a pigeon loft here. Why it's here I don't know. Some sort of conservation has got a sign on there that's very bleached with the sun. There doesn't seem to be a track down to it, but again, I don't know if it's a folly or it's for a purpose, or don't really know really. The lookout's a bit further up the mountain on the top, and we'll go up there and have a quick look around. We should be able to get more or less a 270 degree view from there. Behind me to my rear is the mast on the top, and I've been up there before on various bikes, and we've had a look up there, but we'll go up to the top of here and we'll have a look around. Shaly and loose. Taking the track to the bottom there, we'll park the bike up and get it neutral. Get the side stand down. Just make sure she doesn't capsize, because the ground appears hard but it can be quite soft. There's the trail I've come up at the back, which has come right round Horseshoe, around the mountain from that side. Like I say, we're up at an altitude of maybe, I think over 1,000 metres now. There's the communication mast at the top. They are putting out television signals and internet through WiMAX technology. Yeah, the fan on the bike going. The ignition's off, and this is a lookout. We'll have a walk up to the top. It was a bit silly, leave my gloves on the wall there. If they'd have gone over the edge, I wouldn't be riding down with gloves on, let's put it that way. They'd have stayed over the edge. Right. A good thing about walking downhill, you don't have to puff like coming uphill. And the bike hasn't got the Rhino Walk bags on at the moment. I took them off to clean it after the spill last week and sort it out. So I've just got a backpack on at the moment. I've ordered 2 new bath busters for the front, back busters, from AliExpress, aluminium ones that are going to save the levers from bending again. I would imagine if it takes another bend on that, it probably would snap, it'd be stress. Apart from that, no other damage whatsoever on the bike. The rhino bags on the back saved a lot, and this side of the bike took no damage at all, and the other side of the bike, no damage at all. Nothing, no marks. The only damage was where this took a major knock. You can just see the crack there. I've just super glued it for now. 2 new back busters coming and a few other bits of kit coming for it. So all good, guys.